Welcome to the video on session 3 of the novel The Edible Woman. In this session, I am going to analyze chapter 4 and 5. Marian walks down toward the subway station to go to Clara's place through a golden haze of heat and dust. She feels that she is moving in the underwater. Marian sees at a distance Ainsley shimmering beside a telephone pole. They together joined a line of office workers who are funneling down the stairs into the cool underground caverns below. Marian, as usual, starts reading advertisements as well as screen of lurching bodies. They get down the car and move toward Clara's house. Clara's house was a few blocks further north. While walking, Marian thinks to speak about pension plan with Ainsley, but does not do so as Ainsley may suggest to leave this job for another. Ainsley says it is too hot as they turned up the walk that led to Clara's house. The grass on the doormat sized lawn had not been cut for some time. The dolls and other things are scattered here and there. After several minutes after the knock, Joe opens the door. They walked through the length of the house, which was arranged usually like other houses. Clara was sitting in the garden with her feet on another chair. Clara is so thin that her pregnancies are always bulgingly obvious, and in her 7 month pregnancy, she looked like a boat constructor that has swallowed a watermelon. She also looked very weak and fragile. After a while, Clara requests Marian to take the baby for a while as her arms were just about falling off. Ainsley takes the baby and held the baby awkwardly, gazing with curiosity into its face. Remembering she is the hostess, Clara asks whether she can get something to them, but they tell her they need nothing and Clara should take rest. Clara asks Marian about Peter. Ainsley says he is monopolizing, that means he controls Marian. She puts down the baby to light a cigarette. Then Clara tells Marian that Len Slank back in the town and he wanted to call but he could not get the number of Marian. When Clara and Marian speaking about Len, Ainsley asks about him, who is he, and comes to know that he was an old friend of Marian from college. Clara says that Len went to England and got into television industry, but she does not know what it does in the industry. He is nice type of guy, but horrible with girls, a sort of seducer of young girls. He says anything above 17 years is too old. After dinner, they went to sit in the littered living room while Joe cleared the table. Marian offered help to clean the table, but Joe said it was all right and he will manage it. He wanted her to talk to Clara. Marian had always very little to speak to Clara. She looks at the ceiling and thinks about Clara's past. Clara at school was a fragile girl who was always exempted from physical education. She would sit on the sidelines watching the rest of the students. In that classroom, which was full of highly potato chip fattened adolescents, she was everyone's ideal of translucent perfume advertised femininity. Marian looked at her, feeling a wave of embarrassment, pity sweep over her. But she could not do anything but come on certain days to clean up the house. Clara was not a practical woman. She could not control and manage mundane aspects of life, the money or getting lectures at time. When Marian lived with Clara in residency together, she used to become hopelessly entangled in a room with intervals, unable to find matching shoe or enough clean clothes. Marian has to help her. Chapter 5 Analysis. As Marian and Ainsley walk through the dusk toward the subway, Ainsley wonders how can Clara can stand such an existence. She feels that Clara allows herself to be treated like a thing while Joe does all the work. At the very least, Ainsley suggests Clara could return to school and finish her degree. These criticisms of her friend's current lifestyle make Marian to recall how, after Clara's first child was born, she had considered her absence from school as temporary. Lately, however, she had started to think of herself bitterly as just a housewife. Ainsley then tells Marian that she has something important to tell her. She wants to have a baby. Marian initially interprets this as meaning that Ainsley is getting married. This surprises Marian because Ainsley has always been decidedly anti marriage. Ainsley assures Marian that she has absolutely no intention of getting married. In fact, she believes that families like Clara and Joe's do not provide an ideal solution for a child to live in. The child's mother image and father image will be confused. The thing that ruins families, Ainsley argues, is the husband. It is a child Ainsley wants, not a man. She seems to be upset with present marriage system where women have to depend on their husbands for help and survival. She is an independent kind of woman with her own rationality. She reminds us the hardcore are feminists, are radical feminists who say they don't need men at all. Atwood may not accept that she is a feminist, but there are strains of feminism in the novel where there are references to independence and empowerment of women in the male dominated society. Ainsley also refers to breastfeeding, which was not done by Clara. She says that in South America, women breastfeed children longer than the women of North America. North American men hate watching the basic mother child unit function naturally. It makes them feel not needed. Then Marian tells okay to have baby, but what about the father? Ainsley needs someone who agrees with the plan. Ainsley admits that she has not yet chosen a father but says that he will have to be someone fairly good looking with decent heredity. He will also have to be cooperative and not make fuss about marrying her. Marian goes to her room thinking about the ways to stop her friend. She then becomes resigned, wondering whether Ainsley's personal life is any of her business. She decides that she will simply have to adjust to the situation. There are some uh, feminist strands in the chapter I spoke about. In the next session, I will speak about new criticism, which is related to the statement made by Margaret Atwood that she is not a feminist, but her novel shows many strands of feminism. Thank you.